When Bia arrives at Fazenda Santa Aurora, asking for a single day's work, Caio sees more than a stranger. He sees a mystery. But as danger from her past closes in, will one day be enough to save them both? Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. The morning sun beat down on Fazenda Santa Aurora, the largest coffee estate in the region. The workers were already busy in the fields, their voices carrying across the vast property. Caio Ferraz stood on the porch of the main house, a cup of coffee in his hand as he surveyed his land. At 31, he had transformed his family's struggling farm into a thriving business. But success had come at a price. Mr. Ferraz called Elena, his housekeeper of 15 years. "The new shipment of fertilizer has arrived. They need your signature." Caio nodded, finishing his coffee. "I'll be right there." As he walked toward the storage buildings, he noticed a figure standing by the main gate, a young woman with a worn backpack slung over her shoulder. She looked exhausted, her clothes simple but clean. She wasn't one of the regular workers who came looking for seasonal jobs. There was something different about her. "Can I help you?" Caio asked, approaching the gate. The woman looked up, and Caio was struck by her eyes, tired but determined. "My name is Beatriz Martins." "Bia," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm looking for work. Just one day. I'll work hard. I won't be in the way." Caio studied her. He usually left hiring to his foreman, Miguel, but something about this woman made him pause. Her hands were steady despite her obvious fatigue. Her eyes held a quiet strength. "Do you have experience working on a farm?" he asked. "Yes," she answered simply, not offering more. Caio, normally, would have directed her to Miguel, but instead he found himself opening the gate. "You can start now," he said. "Let's see what a day can do." Relief washed over her face, quickly replaced by determination. "Thank you, I won't let you down." "Miguel," Caio called to his foreman, who was directing workers nearby. "This is Bia. She'll be working today. Find something for her to do." Miguel looked surprised but nodded. "Yes, boss. We could use help with the horses and the broken fence by the east field." "I can fix fences," Bia said quietly. "Good," Caio replied. "Miguel will show you where the tools are." As Miguel led Bia away, Elena approached Caio with a questioning look. "Since when do you hire walk-ins personally?" she asked, hands on her hips. Caio shrugged. "She only wants one day of work." "And since when does anyone come asking for just one day?" Elena pressed, her eyes narrowing. "That girl is running from something, mark my words." "It's not our business, Elena," Caio said firmly. "If she works well today, that's all that matters." Throughout the morning, Caio found himself checking on Bia's progress more than usual. She worked without complaint, fixing the broken fence with skill and efficiency. By midday, she had moved on to help with the horses, brushing them down and cleaning their stalls. During lunch, the workers gathered under the shade of a large tree. Bia sat apart from the others, eating the sandwich Elena had prepared for all the workers. Caio approached her. "The fence looks good," he said, sitting on a nearby stump. "Miguel says you know what you're doing." "My father had a small farm," she replied, not meeting his eyes. Before she didn't finish the sentence, and Caio didn't push. "Where are you from?" he asked instead. "Up north," she answered vaguely. "I've been traveling south for a while now." Her hands trembled slightly, and Caio noticed faded bruises on her wrists. She quickly pulled down her sleeves when she saw him looking. "There's a storm coming tonight," Caio said, changing the subject. "You should finish with the horses before it hits." Bia nodded, grateful for the shift in conversation. "I'll make sure they're settled." As the afternoon progressed, dark clouds gathered on the horizon. The workers began finishing up for the day, heading to their homes in the nearby town or to the worker housing on the property. Caio found Bia in the stables, singing softly to a nervous young foal as thunder rumbled in the distance. "So you have a way with him," Caio observed. "That foal doesn't usually trust strangers." Bia smiled for the first time that day, a small but genuine smile that transformed her face. "Animals know when you mean them no harm." The first heavy raindrops began to fall as they secured the stable doors. "Do you have somewhere to stay tonight?" Kaio asked as they ran toward the main house. Bia hesitated. I was planning to move on. The day's almost over. In this storm? Kaio gestured to the now pouring rain. That would be foolish. They reached the covered porch just as lightning split the sky, followed by a deafening crack of thunder. The foal whinnied fearfully from the stable. I should check on him, Bia said, turning to go back. Wait, Kaio said, grabbing a raincoat from a hook by the door. Take this. Their fingers brushed as he handed her the coat, and for a moment they looked at each other, really looked. Then Bia pulled away, mumbling a thank you as she hurried back to the stables. Inside the house, Eleanor was waiting with a disapproving frown. That girl is still here. I thought she was just for today. She is, Kaio said, watching through the window as Bia ran through the rain. But she has nowhere to go tonight, and the storm's only getting worse. So you're offering her a place to stay? Elena asked, eyebrows raised. A complete stranger. She'll stay in the guest room, Kaio said firmly. Since Isabella left, you've kept everyone at arm's length, Elena said softly. Now suddenly you're bringing home strays. Kaio's expression hardened at the mention of his ex-fiancée. This has nothing to do with Isabella. It's just one night, Elena. Prepare the guest room, please. When Bia returned from the stables, soaked despite the raincoat, Eleanor had dinner waiting and showed her to a bathroom where she could clean up. There are some old clothes of Kaio's sister in the drawer, Elena explained. They might be a bit big, but they're dry. Thank you, Bia said, overwhelmed by the kindness. I don't want to impose. It's not my decision, Elena replied, her tone making it clear she had reservations. Mr. Ferraz says you stay tonight, so you stay. At dinner, Bia emerged wearing a simple blouse and pants that were indeed too large but clean and dry. Her hair was damp, her face freshly washed. She looked younger, more vulnerable. The foal settled down, she reported, sitting across from Kaio at the large dining table. I stayed until he was calm. You didn't have to do that, Kaio said. Wanted to, Bia replied, then added quietly, Thank you for dinner. It's been a while since I had a proper meal. The admission hung in the air between them. Kaio wanted to ask where she'd been, what she was running from, but he didn't. Everyone had secrets, himself included. Why just one day? He asked instead. Why not look for regular work? Bia looked down at her plate. I don't stay in one place for long, it's better that way. Better for whom? She didn't answer, and they finished their meal in silence. After dinner, Elena showed Bia to the guest room, a comfortable space with a large bed and windows overlooking the fields. Breakfast is at 6, Elena said curtly. Mr. Ferraz rises. Early. Left alone, Bia sat on the edge of the bed, running her hand over the soft quilt. It had been months since she'd slept in a real bed. She took out the few possessions from her backpack, a change of clothes, a small photo of her parents, a notebook and an envelope containing what little money she had saved. Outside, the storm raged on. Bia went to the window, watching lightning illuminate the vast expanse of Fazenda Santa Aurora. In the morning, she would leave. She always left before anyone could ask too many questions, before they could find out about Ricardo and what had happened in São Paulo, before they could look at her with pity or, worse, disgust. A soft knock on the door startled her. Kaio stood in the hallway, holding a steaming mug. Chamomile tea, he explained. Eleanor makes it during storms, says it helps with sleep. Thank you, Bia said, accepting the mug. Their fingers brushed again, and Bia felt a strange flutter in her chest. The guest room can be drafty, Kaio continued, not meeting her eyes. There are extra blankets in the chest if you need them. This is more than enough, Bia assured him. I can't thank you enough for your kindness today. Kaio finally looked at her, his expression unreadable. You worked hard. I respect that. He paused, then added, Stay. Just one more day. Bia blinked in surprise. What? Miguel mentioned the north pasture fence needs repair too. And there's Hammer due to foal soon. You seem good with the horses. I don't know, Bia stammered. Just one more day, Kaio repeated. The storm might last through tomorrow anyway. Before she could answer, he turned and walked down the hallway, calling back, Good night, Bia. Good night, she whispered. closing the door slowly. Bia sat on the bed, sipping the tea and thinking. One more day wouldn't hurt, would it? Ricardo had no way of finding her here, and she did love working with the horses. Maybe just for tomorrow she could pretend this was her life, working on a beautiful farm, sleeping in a comfortable bed, eating regular meals. Just for one more day. The next morning, Bia woke to sunlight streaming through the window. For a moment, she forgot where she was, panic rising in her throat. Then she remembered Fazenda Santa Aurora, Cayo Ferraz. One more day. She dressed quickly in her own clothes, now clean and dry thanks to Elena, and made her way to the kitchen. Elena was already there, preparing breakfast. The housekeeper gave her a nod, her expression slightly warmer than the night before. "Mr. Ferraz is in the stables," Elena informed her. "The mare started showing signs early this morning." "The one that's due to foal?" Bia asked, immediately concerned. "Is she okay?" "He's been with her for hours," Elena replied. "You can take your breakfast to go if you want to help." Bia accepted a roll and coffee, then hurried to the stables. She found Cayo sitting outside a stall, looking tired. "Has she delivered?" Bia asked. Cayo shook his head. "She's been restless all night. Miguel called me around 3. I think it's her first foal and she's nervous." Bia handed him her untouched roll. "Eat. I'll check on her." The mare was indeed anxious, pacing her stall and occasionally pawing at the ground. Bia entered slowly, speaking in a low, soothing voice. The horse eyed her warily but didn't protest. When Bia approached, "She likes you," Cayo observed from the stall door, surprise evident in his voice. "She's scared," Bia explained, gently stroking the mare's neck. First-time mothers usually are. As the morning progressed, Bia stayed with the mare, talking to her and checking her condition. By midday, the foal still hadn't come. "You should take a break," Cayo insisted, bringing her lunch. "You've been here for hours." "So have you," Bia pointed out. "Don't you have a farm to run?" Cayo smiled, a genuine smile that reached his eyes. "Miguel can handle things for a day." "Why did you ask me to stay?" Bia asked suddenly. "You have plenty of workers who know what they're doing." Cayo considered her question. "There's something about you," he finally said. "You remind me of myself, a few years ago." "How so?" "The way you work. Like you have something to prove. Like if you stop moving, everything might fall apart." He paused. "I know what that feels like." Before Bia could respond, the mare whinnied loudly and lay down in the straw. Bia immediately turned her attention back to the horse. "It's time," she said, all personal questions forgotten. "She's ready now." The next hour was intense as they helped the mare deliver her foal. When the wobbly-legged colt finally stood, nursing from his mother, Bia and Cayo shared a look of relief and joy. "You're good at this," Cayo said softly. "Where did you learn about horses?" "My father raised them," Bia replied, her guard lowered in the emotional moment. "Before he got sick, before we lost everything." "I'm sorry," Cayo said. "It was a long time ago," Bia said, her expression closing off again. They cleaned up in comfortable silence, watching the mare and her foal. "What will you name him?" Bia asked, nodding toward the colt. "Aurora's Hope," Cayo decided. "Born at dawn after a stormy night." Bia smiled. "It suits him." Later that afternoon, as they walked back to the main house, both tired but satisfied, Cayo made another unexpected proposal. "Stay the week," he said. "We could use the help and you clearly know what you're doing." Bia stopped walking. "I told you, I don't stay in one place for long." "Why not?" Cayo pressed. "What are you running from, Bia?" Her face paled. "I should go. Thank you for the work and the place to stay, but..." "Everyone has a past," Cayo interrupted. "Everyone has things they'd rather forget. You don't have to tell me anything, just consider staying, at least until the colt is stronger." Bia looked back at the stables, thinking of the newborn foal. Then she looked at Cayo, this strange, quiet man who had shown her more kindness in 2 days than she'd experienced in years. "1 week," she said finally. "But then I have to move on." Cayo nodded, not pushing further. "1 week," he agreed. As they continued walking, Bea wondered if she was making a mistake. She'd promised herself after escaping Ricardo that she would never trust anyone again, never stay anywhere long enough to form attachments. Yet here she was, agreeing to stay at Fazenda Santa Aurora for a full week. What Bea didn't know was that her past was already catching up to her. In a town 50 miles away, Ricardo Santos was showing her picture to a bus driver. "Yes, I remember her," the driver was saying. "Pretty girl kept to herself. I dropped her off about 2 days ago near Santa Aurora." Ricardo smiled, a cold smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Thank you. You've been very helpful." "Are you a relative?" the driver asked, suddenly concerned. "Her fiancé," Ricardo lied smoothly. "She's been confused lately. Her family is very worried." As Ricardo drove away, he checked the gun hidden under his seat. He'd found Bea once. He would find her again. And this time she wouldn't get away. Back at Fazenda Santa Aurora, Bea helped Elena prepare dinner, unaware of the danger approaching. For the first time in months, she felt almost safe, almost at peace. Looking out the kitchen window at Caio talking with his workers, she felt something stir in her heart, something she'd thought had died long ago. Hope. The days at Fazenda Santa Aurora fell into a comfortable rhythm for Bea. Each morning, she woke early to help with the horses before joining the other workers in the fields. The promised week stretched into 2, then 3, without either Bea or Caio mentioning her departure. "You've changed things around here," Elena commented one afternoon as she and Bea prepared dinner. The housekeeper's initial coldness had gradually thawed as she watched Bea work tirelessly day after day. "What do you mean?" Bea asked, slicing vegetables. "The master," Elena replied, nodding toward the window where Caio could be seen talking with Miguel. "He smiles now. Not often, but more than before." Bea felt her cheeks warm. "I'm just doing my job." "Is that all it is?" Elena asked, giving Bea a knowing look. "Because I've worked for the Ferraz family for 15 years, and I've never seen him check on any worker as often as he checks on you." Before Bea could respond, the kitchen door opened and Caio walked in. He stopped when he saw the 2 women looking at him. "Am I interrupting something?" he asked. "Not at all," Elena said with a small smile. "We were just discussing how much Bea has helped around here." Caio nodded, his eyes lingering on Bea. "That's actually why I came to find you. The new foal is thriving thanks to your care." "Aurora's hope is strong," Bea said. "He would have been fine without me." "I disagree," Caio said. "And to show my appreciation, I'd like to invite you to dinner in town tomorrow night. There's a festival happening and I thought you might enjoy it." Bea froze, knife hovering over the cutting board. "Like a date?" Elena busied herself at the stove, pretending not to listen. "Just dinner," Caio said quickly. "As friends, you've been working hard and you deserve a night off." Bea hesitated. She hadn't left the farm since arriving nearly a month ago. The thought of going into town made her nervous. What if someone recognized her? What if word got back to Ricardo? "I don't think that's a good idea," she said finally. "But thank you for the offer." Disappointment flashed across Caio's face. "Of course. I understand." After he left, Elena turned to Bea with a frown. "Why did you say no? It's clear you like him." "It's complicated," Bea said, returning to her chopping. "Life is always complicated," Elena replied, "but sometimes good things are worth the risk." That night, Bea couldn't sleep. She paced her room, thinking about Caio's invitation and Elena's words. For the first time in years, she felt safe, valued, maybe even happy. But happiness was dangerous. It made you careless. It made you forget that the past was always waiting to catch up. A soft knock on her door startled her from her thoughts. She opened it to find Caio standing there, looking as sleepless as she felt. "I saw your light on," he explained. "I was worried." "I'm fine," Bea assured him. "Just thinking." Caio nodded, then said, "Walk with me. The night is clear, and I always find it helps when I can't sleep." Against her better judgment, Bea agreed. They walked in silence across the moonlit property, eventually stopping at a small hill overlooking the farm. "This was my father's favorite spot," Caio said, sitting on a wooden bench. He'd come here to think when the farm was struggling. Bea sat beside him. You don't talk about your family much. My father died 5 years ago, Caio explained. Heart attack. My mother had passed years before. I was engaged then to a woman named Isabella. What happened? Bia asked softly. Caio stared out at the Jarl. Dark horizon. After my father died, the farm was in debt. I had to work day and night to save it. Isabella, she wanted a different life. Parties in the city, vacations in Europe. She said she couldn't stand the dust and silence anymore. He smiled bitterly. So she left, married a banker 3 months later. I'm sorry, Bia said. Don't be, Caio replied. It was for the best. We wanted different things. He turned to look at her. What about you? You never talk about your past. Bia tensed. There's not much to tell. I don't believe that, Caio said gently. But I won't push. Just know that whatever you're running from, you're safe here. The kindness in his voice nearly broke her. For a moment, Bia considered telling him everything about her father's death, losing the farm, moving to São Paulo, meeting Ricardo, the abuse that followed, her narrow escape. But the words caught in her throat. Thank you, she whispered instead. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, looking at the stars. When they finally walked back to the house, Caio hesitated at Bia's door. About tomorrow, he said. The invitation still stands, but if you'd prefer to stay here, I understand. Bia took a deep breath. I'd like to go, she said, surprising herself. To the festival. Caio's smile made her heart flutter. I'll pick you up at 7. The next evening, Bia stood in front of the small mirror in her room, hardly recognizing herself. Elena had loaned her a simple but pretty blue dress and had helped style her hair. You look beautiful, Elena said from the doorway. Like a different person. That's the idea, Bia murmured. Elena's eyes narrowed. You know, child, whatever you're hiding from or whoever, you can't run forever. Before Bia could respond, they heard Caio's footsteps in the hallway. Elena squeezed Bia's hand. Be happy tonight. Just for tonight. Caio's reaction when he saw Bia made the butterflies in her stomach multiply. He stood speechless for a moment before finding his voice. You look wonderful, he said finally. The drive into town was quiet, both of them nervous in this new territory. The festival was in full swing when they arrived. Music playing, colored lights strung between buildings, people dancing in the town square. Haven't been to something like this in years, Bia admitted, as they walked through the crowd. Neither have I, Caio confessed. Not since Isabella left. They had dinner at a small restaurant overlooking the square. For the first time since they'd met, they talked like normal people. Not employer and employee, not people with secrets. Just a man and woman enjoying each other's company. Bia told him about her childhood on her father's small horse farm. Caio shared stories about turning Fazenda Santa Aurora around after his father's death. You should be proud, Bia said. What you've accomplished is amazing. Sometimes I wonder if it was worth it, Caio admitted. The farm survived, but at what cost? I have no one to share it with. The vulnerability in his voice touched Bia deeply. Without thinking, she reached across the table and took his hand. You have Elena, she said with a small smile, and Miguel, and the workers who respect you. And you? Caio asked, his eyes serious. Do I have you, Bia? The question hung between them. Before Bia could answer, a familiar voice called out from across the restaurant. Beatriz. Beatriz Martins. Bia froze, her face draining of color. A woman approached their table, Maria Sousa, who had worked at the same restaurant as Bia in São Paulo, the same restaurant where she had met Ricardo. It is you, Maria exclaimed. I hardly recognized you with your hair like that. What are you doing here? Just passing through, Bia managed to say, her throat dry with fear. How are you, Maria? I moved here after getting married, Maria explained, then turned to Caio. Beatriz and I worked together in São Paulo. Is she working for you now? Yes, Caio answered, clearly sensing Bia's discomfort. Beatriz is an invaluable part of my staff. Maria nodded, then leaned closer to Bia. Did you hear about Ricardo? After you disappeared, he went crazy looking for you. He came to the restaurant every day for weeks. Bia's hands began to shake. "I should go," she whispered to Kaio. "I need to leave." Concerned, Kaio quickly paid the bill and made their excuses to Maria. As they hurried back to the car, Bia kept looking over her shoulder, panic evident in her movements. "Bia, what's wrong?" Kaio asked, once they were safely inside the car. "Who's Ricardo?" "Please just drive," Bia begged. "I'll explain everything." But not here. The drive back to the farm was tense. Once they arrived, Bia went straight to her room and began packing her few belongings. "What are you doing?" Kaio asked from the doorway. "I have to leave," Bia said, not meeting his eyes. "Tonight." "Not until you tell me what's going on," Kaio insisted, stepping into the room. "Who is Ricardo? Why are you so afraid?" Bia sat heavily. On the bed, her hands still trembling. "He's my ex-boyfriend. I met him in Sao Paulo after my father died and we lost our farm. I was alone, working as a waitress, barely making ends meet." She took a shaky breath. "At first, he was charming. Protective, but then he changed. He hurt you," Kaio stated, his voice hard. Bia nodded. "It started with controlling behavior, checking my phone, telling me what to wear, who I could talk to. Then came the accusations, the jealousy. And finally," her voice broke, "the beatings." Kaio sat beside her, anger and pain clear on his face. "Why didn't you go to the police?" "I tried," Bia said bitterly. "His brother is a police officer. They didn't believe me." She wiped away a tear. "I planned my escape for months, saved every penny I could, and then one night when he was drunk and passed out, I just ran." "And you've been running ever since," Kaio finished for her. "I have. To keep moving," Bia insisted. "If Maria tells anyone she saw me—" "You can't live like this forever," Kaio said gently. "Always looking over your shoulder, never allowing yourself to be happy." "I don't have a choice," Bia replied. "Yes, you do." Kaio took her hands in his. "Stay here. Let me help you. We can go to the federal police, get a restraining order." "You don't understand," Bia said, pulling away. "Ricardo won't stop. He sees me as his property, and now he might come here to your farm. I can't put you or anyone else in danger." "I'm not afraid of him," Kaio declared. "You should be," Bia warned. "He's dangerous, Kaio." They argued late into the night, neither willing to give in. Finally, exhausted, Bia made a compromise. "2 more days," she said. "I'll stay 2 more days, to help with Aurora's hope. Then I have to go." Kaio wanted to argue further, but recognized the determination in her eyes. 2 days, he agreed reluctantly. The next morning, word came that the mare that had given birth to Aurora's hope was sick. Bia spent the day in the stables, tending to the horse and bottle-feeding the foal when the mare couldn't nurse. "You love them, don't you?" Kaio asked, watching Bia with the animals. "The horses." "They're honest," Bia replied. "They don't pretend to be something they're not." "Unlike people," Kaio said. Bia nodded, focusing on the foal to avoid Kaio's gaze. "Will you check on the mare every few hours tonight? Her fever needs to be monitored." "We'll take shifts," Kaio suggested. "You can't stay up all night." "I'm used to not sleeping," Bia said with a sad smile. That night, as Bia sat with the sick mare, Kaio brought her dinner and coffee. "Any improvement?" he asked. "The fever's the same," Bia reported, "but she's drinking water, which is a good sign." Kaio set the food down and sat beside her on the hay bale. "I've been thinking about what you told me, about Ricardo." Bia tensed. "I don't want to talk about him. Just hear me out," Kaio said. "I have a friend in the federal police. He doesn't answer to local departments. If you filed a report with him—" "No," Bia interrupted. "I told you I'm leaving in 2 days." "And then what?" Kaio demanded, frustration evident in his voice. "You find another temporary job? Another place to hide until someone recognizes you? That's not living, Bia." "It's surviving," she shot back. "You deserve more than just survival," Kaio said softly. "You deserve a life, a home." He paused. "People who care about you." The tenderness in his voice made Bia look up. Their eyes met, and for a moment neither spoke. Then slowly Kaio leaned forward and kissed her, a gentle, questioning kiss that asked rather than demanded. When they pulled apart, Bia's eyes were filled with tears. "I can't," she whispered. "I can't do this." "Why not?" Kaio asked still. holding her hand. Because the last time I let myself feel something, it nearly destroyed me, Bia admitted, and because in 2 days, I'll be gone. Kaio's face hardened with determination. Then I have 2 days to change your mind. The next day passed in a blur of work and tension. The mayor's condition improved slightly, giving them all hope. Bia avoided being alone with Kaio, throwing herself into her tasks, but every time their paths crossed, she felt his eyes on her, questioning, waiting. That evening, as the sun set over Fazenda Santa Aurora, Bia went to check on Aurora's hope one last time before dinner. The foal had grown stronger despite his mother's illness, a testament to Bia's care. "You're going to be just fine," she told the young horse, stroking his neck, "even when I'm gone." "He'll miss you," Kaio's voice came from behind her. "We all. Will?" Bia turned to find him standing in the stable doorway, holding a small wooden box. "I have something for you," he said, approaching and handing her the box. Inside was a nameplate, hand-carved in wood. "Bia's room." "What is this?" she asked, running her fingers over the smooth letters. "I made it yesterday," Kaio explained. "I want you to stay, Bia, not as a worker, not as a guest." He took a deep breath. "I know it's fast and I know you're scared, but there's something between us. Something real." Bia stared at the nameplate, emotions warring inside her. "Kaio." A commotion outside interrupted her. They heard Miguel shouting, followed by the sound of a car driving too fast on the gravel road. "Stay here," Kaio ordered, heading toward the stable door. But Bia followed, a terrible certainty growing in her stomach. They reached the main yard just as a black car skidded to a stop. The driver's door flew open, and a man stepped out. "Ricardo," Bia whispered, her blood turning to ice. He looked just as she remembered, handsome in a sharp, dangerous way. His eyes found her immediately, and his mouth curved into a smile that made her skin crawl. "There you are, my love," Ricardo called out. "I've been looking everywhere for you." Kaio stepped in front of Bia protectively. "You need to leave, now." Ricardo's smile didn't falter. "And who are you? The new boyfriend?" He looked past Kaio to Bia. "You've been busy, haven't you, Beatrice? How did you find me?" Bia asked, her voice shaking. "Your friend Maria was very helpful," Ricardo replied. "She called me right after seeing you, so concerned about your welfare." His smile turned cruel. "She remembered how devastated I was when you disappeared." "Leave her alone," Kaio warned, stepping forward. "She doesn't want to see you." Ricardo's expression hardened. "This doesn't concern you. Beatrice is coming home with me, where she belongs." "I'm not going anywhere with you," Bia declared, finding her courage despite her fear. "This is my home now." Ricardo's face contorted with rage. "Is that so?" He reached into his jacket and pulled out a gun. "I think you'll change your mind." Several workers who had gathered to watch scattered at the sight of the weapon. Miguel moved toward the house, presumably to call the police. "Put the gun down," Kaio said, his voice steady despite the danger. "You don't want to do this." "You don't tell me what I want," Ricardo snarled, pointing the gun at Kaio. "Step away from her now." "No," Kaio replied. Ricardo's finger tightened on the trigger. "I won't ask again." "Stop!" Bia cried, stepping out from behind Kaio. "I'll go with you, just don't hurt him." "Bia, no," Kaio protested. "I have to," she whispered to him. "I can't let you get hurt because of me." Ricardo smiled triumphantly. "Good girl, now come here." Bia started to move toward Ricardo, her heart breaking with each step. After all this time running, after finally finding a place she could call home, a man she could trust, it was ending like this. "Actually," came Elena's voice from the porch, "she's not going anywhere." Everyone turned to see the housekeeper standing with a shotgun aimed directly at Ricardo. "Elena, no," Bia called out. "He's dangerous." "So am I when someone threatens my family," Elena replied, her aim unwavering. "And like it or not, girl, you're family now." Ricardo's eyes darted between Elena and Kaio, calculating his odds. In the distance, sirens could be heard approaching. "This isn't over," he warned, backing toward his car. "She belongs to me. I'll be back." As Ricardo sped away, Bia collapsed to her knees, overwhelmed by fear and relief. Kaio was immediately at her side, holding her as she sobbed. "It's okay," he soothed. "You're safe. I won't let him hurt you. He'll come back, Bia cried. He always does. And we'll be ready, Caio promised. Together. Later that night, after giving statements to the police, Bia sat on the porch swing, wrapped in a blanket despite the warm evening. Caio joined her, handing her a cup of tea. The police are looking for him, he informed her. They've put out an alert, he won't get far. Bia nodded, still trembling slightly. I should have known he'd find me eventually. You can't blame yourself, Caio said firmly. None of this is your fault. They sat in silence for a while, the events of the day settling around them. Did you mean what you said? Caio asked finally. About this being your home now? Bia looked. Out at Fazenda Santa Aurora, the stables where Aurora's Hope slept beside his recovering mother, the fields she had worked alongside the other farmhands, the main house where Elena had grudgingly made space for her in the kitchen. Yes, she admitted. Somewhere along the way it became home. But after today, nothing has changed, Caio insisted. Except now we face this together. He took her hand. I'm not Isabella, Bia. I won't leave when things get difficult. And you're not alone anymore. Bia looked at their intertwined fingers. I've spent so long running I don't know how to stay. Then I'll teach you, Caio promised. Day by day. He leaned forward and kissed her softly. And this time, Bia didn't. Pull away. As they sat together on the porch, the stars spreading overhead, Bia allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, she could have a future here. That the one day she had asked for might truly become a lifetime. What they didn't know was that Ricardo hadn't gone far. He sat in his car on a hill overlooking Fazenda Santa Aurora, watching the main house through binoculars. His face was contorted with hatred as he observed Bia and Caio on the porch. Enjoy it while it lasts, he muttered. This isn't over, not by a long shot. In the passenger seat beside him lay a folder, documents he had forged claiming that Bia was mentally unstable and had been committed to his care by the courts. It had worked in other towns when questions were asked. It would work here too. Ricardo started his car and drove toward town. He needed a place to stay, to plan his next move. Beatrice thought she had found safety, love, a home. He would show her how wrong she was, and this time he would make sure she never ran away again. A week passed at Fazenda Santa Aurora, with no sign of Ricardo. The police had searched the surrounding areas, but found no trace of him or his car. Officer Marcos, the local police chief, visited the farm regularly to check on Bia and update them on the investigation. We've put out alerts in neighboring towns, Officer Marcos explained during his latest visit. His picture has been distributed to all patrol officers. What about the restraining order? Caio asked, his arm protectively around Bia's shoulders. It's been approved, Officer Marcos confirmed. But remember, it's just a piece of paper. Stay vigilant. After the officer left, Bia stood on the porch, staring out at the property she'd come to love. He's still out there, she said quietly. Waiting. You can't think like that, Caio insisted, standing beside her. We have security now. The new alarm system, the cameras, the workers are all on alert. Bia nodded, but the fear remained in her eyes. You don't know him like I do. Ricardo doesn't give up. He doesn't forget. Neither do I, Caio replied, taking her hand. I meant what I said. We face this together. Over the next few days, life at the farm settled into a new routine. Caio hired 2 security guards to patrol the property at night. Bia continued working, with the horses, but never alone. Aurora's Hope and his mother were thriving under her care. Elena, who had surprised everyone with her shotgun standoff with Ricardo, had become Bia's fiercest protector. The housekeeper kept the shotgun within reach at all times and gave suspicious looks to any unfamiliar vehicle that passed the farm. I've always been a good judge of character, Elna told Bia one evening as they prepared dinner. I knew there was something special about you, even when I was giving you the cold shoulder. Bia smiled. You were right to be suspicious. I was a stranger. Not anymore, Elena said firmly. Now you're family, and no one threatens my family. That night, after dinner, Caio took Bia to his study, a room she'd never entered before. It was lined with books and old photographs. A large desk dominated one side, covered in farm records and business papers. "This was my father's sanctuary," Kaio explained, gesturing for her to sit. "I come here when I need to think." Bia looked around, noting the photographs of a younger Kaio with an older man who had the same determined eyes. "You look like him," she observed. "He was a good man," Kaio said, sitting across from her. "Stubborn, but fair. He would have liked you." "I'm not so sure," Bia replied. "I've brought danger to your door. You've brought life to this place," Kaio corrected her. "Before you came, I was just going through the motions, running the farm but not really living." He reached into his desk drawer and pulled out a small box. "I've been thinking about our situation, about Ricardo and what he might do next." Bia tensed. "What do you mean?" "We need to be smart," Kaio said. "Think one step ahead of him." He opened the box to reveal a simple gold ring. "This was my mother's." Bia's eyes widened. "Kaio, what?" "Just hear me out," he said quickly. "Ricardo is claiming you belong to him, that you're his property. But what if you were married to someone else?" "Married," Bia repeated, stunned. "It would give you legal protection," Kaio explained. "Make it harder for him to claim any rights over you. And if he tried to use forged documents, your status as my wife would give us stronger grounds to fight him." "You want to marry me to protect me from Ricardo?" Bia asked, trying to understand. Kaio took her hands. "That's part of it," he admitted. "But also because I love you, Bia. I know it's fast. I know we've only known each other for a short time, but sometimes, when you know, you just know." Tears filled Bia's eyes. "Kaio, I can't let you do this. Marriage is sacred. It shouldn't be. A legal strategy." "It's not just a strategy," Kaio insisted. "Yes, it would help protect you. But I'm asking because I want to spend my life with you. Because when you showed up at my gate asking for one day of work, something inside me recognized you, like my soul had been waiting for you." Bia looked at the ring, then back at Kaio's earnest face. "I love you too," she whispered. "But I'm scared. What if he comes back? What if he hurts you?" "Then we'll face it," Kaio said firmly. "Together. As husband and wife." Before Bia could answer, they heard Elena calling frantically from the front of the house. They rushed out to find the housekeeper pointing at a car approaching on the main road. "It's him," she said, reaching for her shotgun. "He's back." But as the car got closer, they realized it wasn't Ricardo's black sedan but a police cruiser. Officer Marco stepped out, his expression grave. "What's happened?" Kaio asked, stepping forward. "We need to talk," Officer Marco said, looking at Bia. "Inside, preferably." In the living room, Officer Marcos explained the situation. "Ricardo. Santos showed up at the station this afternoon. He had papers with him, court documents claiming Ms. Martins is mentally unstable and that he's her legal guardian." "That's a lie," Bia exclaimed, her face pale. "He forged those papers." "I believe you," Officer Marcos assured her. "The documents looked suspicious to me. I've contacted the court they supposedly came from to verify, but until then, I had to tell him I'd look into it. So he knows where I am," Bia said, her voice hollow. "He knows I'm still here." "Yes," Officer Marcos confirmed, "but he also knows we're watching him. I made it clear that any attempt to approach this property would result in his immediate arrest for violating the restraining order." "What's his next move?" Kaio asked. "Hard to say," Officer Marcos replied, "but he's staying at the Riverside Motel in town. We're keeping an eye on him." After the officer left, promising to have a patrol car drive by regularly, Bia sat quietly, the fear she'd been fighting all week now overwhelming her. "He won't stop," she said finally. "As long as I'm here, you're all in danger." "Don't start that again," Kaio said firmly. "You're not leaving." "Maybe I should," Bia argued, "just for a while, until they can prove the documents are fake." "And go where?" Kaio demanded. "Be alone again." "No, that's exactly what he wants." Elena, who had been listening silently, spoke up. "The master is right. If you run, that man wins. Besides," she added with a meaningful glance at Kaio, "I heard there was a proposal happening when I interrupted." Kaio looked at Bia questioningly. Bia took a deep breath, looking from Kaio to Elena and back again, these people who had become her family in such a short time. this place that had become her home. "Yes," she said finally. "My answer is yes." Kaio's face broke into a smile of pure joy. He slipped his mother's ring onto Bia's finger, then kissed her deeply. "Tomorrow," he said. "We'll go to the courthouse tomorrow." That night, as Bia lay in bed looking at the ring on her finger, a mixture of emotions swirled within her. Joy at the thought of marrying Caio, fear of what Ricardo might do, hope for a future she'd never dared dream of. A soft tap on her window made her freeze in terror. Then came a whisper, "Bia, it's me." "Maria." Cautiously, Bia approached the window to see Maria Sousa, the waitress from São Paulo who had recognized her at the festival and called Ricardo. "What are you doing here?" Bia demanded through the glass, not opening the window. "I need to talk to you," Maria pleaded. "I'm so sorry, I didn't know. Ricardo told me you were sick, that you needed help." "Go away," Bia said, "before I call." "The police. Please," Maria begged. "He's planning something terrible. I had to warn you." Hesitantly, Bia opened the window. "What do you mean? What's he planning?" "He has a gun," Maria whispered. "He was drinking at the bar tonight, talking crazy. Said if he couldn't have you, no one would. I felt so guilty. I'm the one who told him where you were. I had to come warn you." Bia's blood ran cold. "When? When is he coming?" "Tomorrow," Maria said. "He knows there's a shipment arriving at the farm. Said it would be the perfect distraction." "How do I know you're telling the truth?" Bia asked suspiciously. "Why would you betray him now?" "Because I saw his eyes when he talked about you," Maria answered. "There was nothing human there, just hatred. I was wrong to call him. So wrong." She glanced nervously over her shoulder. "I have to go. He thinks I'm at home with a headache." "If he finds out I came here, thank you," Bia said, "for the warning." After Maria disappeared into the darkness, Bia rushed to Caio's room. He listened to her story with growing concern. "We need to call Officer Marcos," he said, reaching for his phone. "What if Maria is lying?" Bia asked. "What if this is part of Ricardo's plan?" "We can't take that chance," Caio replied. "If he's planning to come here with a gun..." Officer Marcos arrived within the hour, taking Maria's warning seriously. "I'll have officers stationed around the property tomorrow," he promised. "And I'll try to get a warrant to search his motel room tonight." "Our wedding," Bia realized suddenly. "We were going to the courthouse tomorrow." "It can wait," Caio assured her, though disappointment flashed in his eyes. "No," Bia said, determination replacing her fear. "I'm tired of letting Ricardo control my life. We're getting married tomorrow as planned. I won't let him take that from me too." Caio squeezed her hand. "Are you sure?" "More sure than I've ever been about anything," Bia replied. The next morning dawned bright and clear. As promised, police officers were stationed discreetly around the property. The farm workers went about their business, though Miguel had briefed them all to be on alert. Elena helped Bia dress in a simple white sundress, the nicest outfit she owned. "Not exactly a wedding gown," the housekeeper said apologetically. "It's perfect," Bia assured her. "Simple is good." Caio was waiting by his truck, dressed in a clean button-down shirt and his best jeans. His eyes lit up when he saw Bia. "Ready?" he asked, helping her into the truck. "Ready," she confirmed. They drove to town with a police escort, Officer Marcos, following in his cruiser. At the courthouse, the ceremony was brief but meaningful. Caio had arranged for a judge he knew to perform the marriage. Elena and Miguel stood as witnesses. "I, Caio Ferraz, take you, Beatriz Martins, to be my lawfully wedded wife," Caio recited, his voice steady and sure. "To have and to hold from this day forward, for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish until death do us part." When it was Bia's turn, tears of joy streamed down her face. "I, Beatriz Martins, take you, Caio Ferraz, to be my lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish until death do us part. By the power vested in me by the state," the judge concluded, "I now pronounce you husband and wife." You may kiss the bride." Their kiss was sweet and tender, a promise of the life they would build together. For a moment, Ricardo and his threats seemed far away. "Mrs. Ferraz," Caio whispered against her lips. "I like the sound of that," Bia replied with a smile. The small celebration afterward at a local restaurant was guarded by Officer Marcos, who kept a watchful eye on the door. There had been no sign of Ricardo all day, and Bia began to wonder if Maria's warning had been false, or if the police presence had scared him off. As they prepared to return to the farm, Officer Marcos received a call. His expression darkened as he listened. "What is it?" Caio asked when the officer hung up. "Ricardo Santos checked out of his motel this morning," Officer Marcos reported. "No one has seen him since." "He's gone?" Bia asked, hardly daring to hope. "Maybe," Officer Marcos said cautiously. "Or maybe he's just changing his plan. We'll maintain the patrols around your property for now." Back at Fazenda Santa Aurora, the afternoon shipment of supplies arrived as scheduled. Caio and Miguel supervised the unloading while Bia went to check on Aurora's Hope. The young foal had grown attached to her, whinnying in greeting whenever she entered the stable. "Hello, little one," Bia cooed, stroking his neck. "I got married. Today, can you believe it?" The foal nuzzled her hand, making her laugh. For the first time in years, Bia felt truly happy, safe. She had a husband who loved her, a home she adored, and work that fulfilled her. Maybe Ricardo really had given up and left. As she turned to leave the stable, a shadow blocked the doorway. Her heart stopped. "Hello, Beatrice," Ricardo said, his voice eerily calm. "Or should I say Mrs. Ferraz? Congratulations on your wedding." "How did you get past the guards?" Bia asked, backing away slowly. Ricardo smiled coldly. "I've been hiding in one of your supply trucks since this morning. Very uncomfortable, but worth it to see you again." "The police are everywhere," Bia warned. "Caio is just outside." "Your new husband is busy with the shipment," Ricardo replied, stepping further into the stable. "And the police are watching the roads, not the stables. Don't worry, we won't be disturbed." Bia's eyes darted around, looking for a weapon, an escape route, anything. "What do you want, Ricardo?" "You know what I want," he said, moving closer. You're mine, Beatrice. You've always been mine." "I was never yours," Bia stated, finding courage in her anger. "And I never will be. I'm Caio's wife now." Ricardo's face contorted with rage. "You think a piece of paper changes anything? You think I'll let you live happily ever after with your farmer?" He pulled out his gun. "If I can't have you, no one will." Bia's mind raced. The stable doors were behind Ricardo. The only other exit was the small door that led to the paddock, but it was latched from the outside. She was trapped. "Ricardo, please," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Think about what you're doing. Murder will get you life in prison." "I don't care anymore," he said, his eyes wild. "You've taken everything from me. My reputation, my pride. Men laugh at me behind my back because my woman ran away. Well, no one will laugh after today." Aurora's Hope, sensing the tension, began to prance nervously in his stall. His mother whinnied in distress from the adjacent stall. "The horses are agitated," Bia said, seeing a possible distraction. "They could hurt themselves. Let me calm them down, and then we can talk." Ricardo hesitated, then nodded. "Fine, but don't try anything." Bia moved slowly to Aurora's Hope's stall, whispering soothing words to the foal. As she did, she carefully unlatched the stall door. The young horse was strong now, nearly grown despite his young age. "What are you doing?" Ricardo demanded, noticing. To the unlatched door. "Nothing," Bia assured him. "Just checking on him." But as she spoke, she gave Aurora's Hope a firm pat on his hindquarters, a signal she'd trained him to respond to. The foal burst out of the stall, charging directly at Ricardo. Surprised, Ricardo fired his gun, the bullet splintering a wooden beam above Bia's head. The noise sent the already nervous horses into a panic. The foal's mother kicked at her stall, jaw breaking it open. Now there were two frightened horses loose in the stable. Bia took advantage of the chaos, running toward the stable doors. Ricardo tried to grab her but was knocked aside by the frantic foal. He raised his gun again, aiming at Bia's back. "Bia, get down!" Caio's voice rang out from outside the stable. Bia dropped to the ground as Caio and Miguel rushed in. Ricardo, swung his gun toward them, but before he could fire, Aurora's Hope's mother reared up, her hooves striking Ricardo's arm. The gun went off, the bullet hitting the roof. Officers Marcos and his deputies, alerted by the gunshots, stormed into the stable. Ricardo lay on the ground, clutching his injured arm, the gun several feet away. "Are you okay?" Caio asked, helping Bea to her feet and checking her for injuries. "I'm fine," she assured him, trembling with adrenaline. "The horses, Miguel's got them," Caio said, pointing to where the foreman was already calming the frightened animals. Officer Marcos handcuffed Ricardo, reading him his rights. "Ricardo Santos, you're under arrest for violation of a restraining order, attempted murder, illegal possession of a firearm, and trespassing." As the officers dragged Ricardo away, he glared at Bea with pure hatred. "This isn't over," he spat. "I'll get out eventually, and when I do—" "You'll do nothing," Officer Marcos interrupted. "With these charges and your priors, you're looking at a long time behind bars." After the police had taken Ricardo away and statements had been given, Bea and Caio stood on the porch of their home, watching the sunset. The day that had begun with their wedding had nearly ended in tragedy. "I can't believe it's over," Bea said, leaning against Caio's chest. "After all this time running, all this fear, it's over," Caio confirmed, kissing the top of her head. "He can't hurt you anymore." "What a wedding day," Bea said with a shaky laugh. "Not exactly the peaceful celebration I had in mind," Caio admitted. "But hey, at least it's memorable." Bea turned in his arms to face him. "Thank you," she said seriously, "for everything. For giving me a job that first day, for believing in me. For loving me despite all the complications I brought into your life." "I'd do it all again," Caio said, stroking her cheek. "Every single part of it." That night, in what was now their bedroom, Caio held Bea close as she drifted off to sleep. For the first time since she'd fled from Ricardo, she slept peacefully, without fear of what the morning might bring. But across town, in the police station holding cell, Ricardo sat plotting. The charges were serious, yes, but he had connections. His brother on the force, friends in low places. This setback was temporary. Sooner or later he would find a way out, and when he did, Beatrice would pay for her betrayal. Her and her precious husband both. As if sensing his thoughts, Officer Marcos paused outside the cell. "I know what you're thinking, Santos," he said quietly, "but it won't work. I've called in the federal police. They're very interested in some of your other activities, the ones your brother has been helping cover up." Ricardo's confident smile faltered. "That's right," Officer Marcos continued. "Your brother rolled over on you as soon as we showed him the evidence. You're going away for a very long time." As the officer walked away, Ricardo slumped against the wall, the full weight of his situation finally hitting him. Maybe this really was the end of the road. Maybe Beatrice had truly escaped him once and for all. Back at Fazenda Santa Aurora, in the warm security of Caio's arms, Bea dreamed not of fear and running, but of the future, of children playing in the fields, of Aurora's hope grown strong and proud, of growing old with Caio by her side. She had asked for one day of work. He had given her a lifetime of love, and now that lifetime was just beginning. 6 months had passed since Ricardo's arrest. Life at Fazenda Santa Aurora had settled into a peaceful rhythm for Bea and Caio. The coffee harvest had been exceptional that year, bringing prosperity to the farm. Aurora's hope had grown into a strong, beautiful colt, the pride of their stables. Every morning Bea woke up beside Caio with a sense of wonder that this was her life now, safe, loved, and secure. The nightmares that had plagued her for so long had gradually faded. "What are you thinking about?" Caio asked one morning, finding Bea standing on the porch with a cup of coffee, watching the sunrise. "How different everything is," she replied, as he wrapped his arms around her from behind. "A year ago I was still with Ricardo planning my escape, and now you're stuck with me," Caio finished with a smile, kissing her neck. "The best kind of stuck," Bea said, turning to face him. "I never thought I could be this happy." Their peaceful moment was interrupted by Elena calling from inside the house. "Phone call for you, boss. It's Officer Marcos." Caio frowned. They hadn't heard from the police in weeks, not since Ricardo's case had been moved to the federal courts. "I'll be right there," he called back. Bia followed him inside, a familiar anxiety returning. Whenever the past threatened to intrude on their happiness, she couldn't help but worry. "Officer Marcos, good morning," Caio said, putting the call on speaker so Bia could hear. "What can I do for you?" "I have news," Officer Marcos replied, his voice tinny through the speaker. "Ricardo Santos was sentenced yesterday. 20 years for attempted murder, illegal weapons possession, forgery of official documents, and a host of other charges the federal investigators uncovered." Bia gasped, gripping Caio's hand tightly. 20 years, Caio repeated. "That's good news." "There's more," Officer Marcos continued. "His brother, the corrupt officer who was helping him, is also going to prison. The investigation revealed a whole network of crimes they were involved in. It's over, Mrs. Ferraz. He can't hurt you anymore." After thanking the officer and hanging up, Caio turned to find Bia sitting at the kitchen table, tears streaming down her face. "Hey," he said softly, kneeling beside her. "These are happy tears, right?" Bia nodded, wiping her eyes. I've been waiting for the other shoe to drop, expecting him to find a way to come after us again. And now you're truly free," Caio said, holding her hands. "We both are." Elena, who had been listening from the doorway, came in with a fresh pot of coffee. "This calls for a celebration," she announced. "A proper one, since your wedding day was interrupted by that monster." "What did you have in mind?" Caio asked, amused by the housekeeper's enthusiasm. "A renewal of vows," Elena declared. "Here at the farm with all your workers and friends, the celebration you deserve." The idea quickly took hold. Plans were made for a ceremony in 2 weeks' time, to be held in the fields overlooking the valley. Caio's father's favorite spot, now Caio and Bia's special place as well. As the day approached, Bia found herself busier than she'd ever been. Between helping with the farm work, planning the celebration with Elena, and the other new project she and Caio had begun, there was hardly a moment to rest. "Are you sure about this?" Caio asked one evening, finding Bia in the small office adjacent to their bedroom, surrounded by papers. "It's a lot to take on at once." "I'm sure," Bia said firmly. "The children's riding program is important. These kids need a place where they can feel safe and learn to trust again." She looked up at him with determination in her eyes. "Who better to teach them than someone who's been through trauma herself?" Caio smiled, pride evident in his expression. The program had been Bia's idea, using their horses to help children who had experienced abuse or neglect. They'd already partnered with a local children's home, and the first group was scheduled to start the week after their vow renewal ceremony. "You're amazing, you know that?" Caio said, kissing the top of her head. "I'm just trying to turn what happened to me into something good," Bia replied. The morning of their ceremony dawned clear and beautiful. The farm workers had decorated the hillside with flowers and ribbons. A simple arch stood at the center, facing the valley where the coffee plants stretched as far as the eye could see. Elena had outdone herself. A large tent held tables for the feast that would follow the ceremony. Children of the workers ran about, excited by the festivities. In the main house, Bia stood before a mirror in the bedroom she now shared with Caio. She wore a proper wedding dress this time, a simple but elegant white gown that Elena and some of the women from town had helped her select. "You look beautiful," came a voice from the doorway. Bia turned to see Maria Sousa, the former waitress whose warning had helped them prepare for Ricardo's attack. "Maria," Bia greeted her with a smile, "I'm glad you could come." After Ricardo's arrest, Maria had apologized profusely for her role in helping him find Bia. Over time, the two women had cautiously rebuilt their friendship. Maria now worked at a cafe in town and occasionally visited the farm. "I wouldn't miss it," Maria said, stepping into the room. "I brought you something. A wedding gift." She handed Bia a small package. Inside was a delicate silver bracelet with a single charm, a horse. "It's beautiful," Bia said, touching it gently. "For your new beginning," Maria explained, "and for your program with the children. I've been telling everyone in town about it." A knock at the door interrupted them. Elena entered, resplendent in a formal blue dress that Bia had never seen her wear before. "It's time," the housekeeper announced. "Everyone is waiting." Bia took a deep breath. "I'm ready." Outside, guests had gathered on chairs set up facing the valley. Miguel stood beside Cayo at the arch, serving as his best man. A local pastor waited to conduct the ceremony. As Bia emerged from the house, a hush fell over the crowd. She walked slowly down the makeshift aisle, carrying a bouquet of wildflowers gathered from the farm's fields. Her eyes never left Cayo, who watched her approach with undisguised adoration. "Dearly beloved," the pastor began, once Bia reached Cayo's side. "We are gathered here today to celebrate the love and commitment of Cayo and Beatriz Ferraz as they renew the vows they made to each other 6 months ago." The ceremony was simple but heartfelt. When it came time for their vows, Cayo took Bia's hands in his and spoke from the heart. "Bia, when you arrived at my gate asking for just 1 day of work, I had no idea how completely you would change my life. You brought light back into my world. You taught me to trust again, to love again. I promise to spend every day of our lives showing you how grateful I am that you stayed that first night, and every night since. I love you more than I ever thought possible." Tears glistened in Bia's eyes as she responded. "Cayo, I came here running from my past, never dreaming I would find my future. You saw me at my worst, scared, broken and alone, and you offered me safety without questions. You gave me a home when I didn't think I deserved one. You showed me that love doesn't have to hurt. I promise to love you, trust you, and stand by your side for all the days of our lives. By the power vested in me," the pastor concluded, "I affirm your marriage and bless your union. What God has joined together, let no one put asunder." Their kiss was met with cheers and applause from the gathered guests. As they turned to face their friends and workers, Bia felt a sense of completion. This was her family now, this was her home. The celebration that followed was joyous. Tables groaned under the weight of food prepared by Elena and the women from town. Wine flowed freely, and music played as people danced under the afternoon sun. "Quite different from our first wedding day," Cayo observed, as they took a moment alone, standing at the edge of the gathering. "Much better," Bia agreed. "No guns, no police, no psychotic ex-boyfriends." Cayo laughed, pulling her close. "I've been meaning to ask you something," he said, suddenly serious. "The children's program starts next week. Are you nervous?" Bia considered the question. "A little," she admitted, "but mostly excited. Those children have been through so much, Cayo. If I can help even one of them feel safe again, feel worthy of love." "You will," Cayo assured her. "You helped me after all." "You helped me too," Bia reminded him. "We healed each other." As the sun began to set, casting golden light across the valley, Bia and Cayo circulated among their guests, accepting congratulations and well wishes. Officer Marcos made an appearance, bringing his wife, and confirming once more that Ricardo's conviction was secure. "He'll be old by the time he gets out," the officer assured them, "and the restraining order is permanent. You won't ever have to worry about him again." Later, as the stars came out and lanterns were lit around the tent, Elena approached the couple with a mischievous smile. "I think it's time for your surprise," she said to Cayo. "Surprise?" Bia asked, looking between them. "What surprise?" Cayo grinned. "Come with me." He led Bia away from the celebration toward the stables. Inside, the horses were quiet, settling down for the night. At the far end, where a storage room had once been, Cayo stopped. "Close your eyes," he instructed. Bia complied, letting him guide her forward a few steps. "Can I open them now?" "Now," Cayo confirmed. Bia opened her eyes to find herself in a newly constructed office space. A desk held a computer and files. Bookshelves lined one wall, already filled with volumes on equine therapy and child psychology. A large whiteboard displayed a schedule for the children's program. And on the wall opposite the desk hung a wooden sign beautifully carved, "Beatriz Ferraz, Director, Aurora's Hope Equine Therapy." "Cayo," Bia breathed, taking it all in. "When did you do this?" "Miguel and I have been working on it for weeks," Cayo explained. "Every program needs a proper office, and every director needs a proper title." "Director," Bia repeated, stunned. This is your program, Bia, Kaio said seriously. Your vision. I'm just the financial backer. You're the heart and soul of it. Overwhelmed, Bia threw her arms around him. Thank you, she whispered against his neck, for believing in me. Always, Kaio promised. They returned to the celebration hand in hand, Bia's heart fuller than she'd ever thought possible. As they danced under the stars, surrounded by friends and well-wishers, she marveled at how completely her life had changed in less than a year. The next morning, as the farm workers cleaned up the remnants of the celebration, Bia visited Aurora's. Hope in his paddock, the young horse trotted over to greet her, nuzzling her palm for treats. Tomorrow's the big day, she told him, stroking his glossy neck. The children are coming. You'll need to be on your best behavior. Talking to the horses again? Kaio asked, approaching from behind. They're good listeners, Bia replied with a smile. Kaio wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her back against his chest. Are you ready for tomorrow? As ready as I'll ever be, Bia said. I just hope I can make a difference. You already have, Kaio assured her. Look at this place. Look at me. Everything is better because you're here. The following day, a van from the children's home arrived at Fazenda Santa Aurora. 5 children, ranging in age from 8 to 14, stepped out nervously, accompanied by their social worker. Bia greeted them at the gate, just as Kaio had greeted her all those months ago. Welcome to Fazenda Santa Aurora, she said warmly. I'm Bia, and I'm so excited to show you the horses. A small girl with solemn eyes and a thin frame hung back from the others. She reminded Bia painfully of herself, wary, expecting disappointment, afraid to hope. What's your name? Bia asked, kneeling to the child's level. Luisa, the girl whispered, not meeting Bia's eyes. Luisa, would you like to meet a very special horse? Bia asked. His name is Aurora's Hope, and he was born right here on this farm. Luisa looked up cautiously, a flicker of interest in her eyes. Is he big? Not too big, Bia assured her, and very gentle. He loves making new friends. Slowly, Luisa nodded. Bia offered her hand, and after a moment's hesitation, the little girl took it. As they walked toward the stables, Kaio watched from the porch, pride swelling in his chest. Bia's face was animated as she talked to the children, her past trauma transformed into a gift of understanding and compassion. In the months that followed, Aurora's Hope equine therapy flourished. Word spread throughout the region, and soon they had a waiting list of children eager to participate. Bia hired 2 assistants to help with the expanded program. The local university's psychology department offered to partner with them for a research study on the benefits of equine therapy for trauma survivors. One evening, almost a year to the day since Bia had first appeared at the farm's gate, she and Kaio sat on their porch swing watching the sunset. I got a letter today, Bia said quietly. From Ricardo. Kaio tensed beside her. What? How is that possible with the restraining order? It came through his lawyer, Bia explained. It's a letter of apology. Part of his rehabilitation program, apparently. Do you believe him? Kaio asked, his voice tight. Bia considered the question. I don't know, she admitted. And honestly, it doesn't matter. His apology is for him, not for me. I've already moved on. Kaio relaxed slightly. What did you do with the letter? I burned it, Bia said simply. The past is the past. We have too much future to look forward to. She placed her hand on her stomach, still flat, but containing their secret, a baby due in 7 months' time. They had only learned of the pregnancy the week before and had decided to keep it private for a little longer. Kaio covered her hand with his eyes shining with love. A whole lifetime, he agreed. As night fell over Fazenda Santa Aurora, lights twinkled in the workers' houses and in the main house where Elena was preparing dinner. The horses nickered softly in their stables, including Aurora's Hope, now fully grown and the star of the therapy program. Bia looked out over the property that had become her home, at the man who had become her life, and marveled at how it had all begun. Just one day, she murmured. What's that? Kaio asked. I asked for just one day, Bia reminded him, and you gave me a lifetime. The best decision I ever made, Kaio said, kissing her softly. as they walked hand in hand back to the house, Bia thought of the frightened, broken woman she had been when she first arrived at Fazenda Santa Aurora. That woman could never have imagined the joy that awaited her. A loving husband, a thriving program helping children heal, a baby on the way, and the promise of countless beautiful days stretched out before her. She had asked for one day of work. She had received a lifetime of love, and that lifetime was only just beginning. The end.